This story explores mature emotional themes including love, grief, and self-discovery. It does not contain explicit material, but viewer discretion is advised due to the emotional depth of the content. All characters depicted are adults. The rain had a way of remembering things long after people forgot. It fell in slow, deliberate drops that evening, coating the small town of Alder Ridge in silver haze. On the corner of Maple and 3rd, beneath a flickering street lamp, stood Clara Monroe, her coat soaked through, her breath fogging in the chilled air. She hadn't planned on coming back. But someone, had called her home. He hadn't changed much. Elliot Grayson stood behind the glass of the old bookstore, hands buried in his jacket pockets, staring as if the last 10 years hadn't passed. His eyes met hers through the foggy pane, and in that second, every unresolved word between them twisted tighter than ever before. The sound came from the back room, just a soft thud, maybe a book falling off a shelf, but it was enough to send Clara's heart racing. Elliot glanced over his shoulder, frowning. That shouldn't happen. I locked everything up earlier. Clara stepped inside cautiously, the scent of old pages and sandalwood stirring something familiar in her chest. This place hadn't changed, just like him. Just like them. Elliot led the way into the shadows between shelves. Probably the draft, he muttered, though he didn't sound convinced. The roof's been leaking again. But Clara wasn't focused on the sound anymore. She was watching Elliot, how his shoulders tensed, how his voice caught slightly. There was something he wasn't saying. There always had been. You still run this place alone? She asked, brushing her fingers across a cracked spine labeled Rilke. He nodded, not meeting her eyes. After your dad passed, I tried to sell it. Couldn't. Felt wrong. Her breath hitched. He left it to both of us. You knew that, didn't you? I figured he hoped it might fix things. Elliot finally looked at her. His eyes were softer now, but tired. But I didn't expect you to come back. Clara turned away, her voice low. Neither did I. They walked in silence toward the back room. Dust motes floated in the amber light. A broken window pane let in the sound of rain and wind, and on the floor lay a shattered picture frame. Inside was a photo she hadn't seen in years, the three of them, her, Elliot, and her father. She was laughing. Elliot's arm was around her. She bent to pick it up. The glass bit her finger, and a drop of blood bloomed. The sound from upstairs was no illusion. A slow, deliberate step, followed by another. Clara instinctively stepped closer to Elliot, her voice low. Are you sure no one else? I changed the locks myself, he interrupted, eyes already scanning the ceiling. They both looked up. The bookstore's old floorboards groaned again, this time directly above them. Elliot moved quickly, grabbing a flashlight from the counter. Stay here, he said. But Clara followed, refusing to be left behind. The stairs creaked with each step as they climbed. The upper floor had once been an apartment. Clara's father used to nap there between customers, write in his journals, disappear for hours. She hadn't been up there since she was 18. The hallway was dim, the air colder than below. Elliot's flashlight swept across faded wallpaper and half-open doors. Nothing seemed out of place, until the light caught it. A fresh footprint on the dusty wooden floor. Clara's voice trembled. Someone's been living here. Elliot said nothing, but his jaw tightened. They followed the footprints into the back room, her father's old study. It was in shambles. Desk drawers open. Books stacked strangely, some torn. And in the center of the desk was something new, a yellowed envelope, sealed with her father's handwriting. To Clara and Elliot, when the silence finally breaks. She reached for it, hands shaking. But Elliot grabbed her wrist gently. Wait. What if it's a warning? Their eyes locked again, full of years they hadn't shared. Or maybe it's what he couldn't say when he was alive, she whispered. Downstairs, the bell on the door chimed. They froze. Elliot whispered, we locked the door. Footsteps moved below, confident, slow, and not alone. Clara's stomach turned. Whoever was down there wasn't browsing books. They were searching. Elliot stepped protectively in front of her. "We need to leave. Now." But Clara reached past him and snatched the envelope, tucking it into her coat. "We're not running. Not again." The emotion in her voice was different this time, not just fear, but determination. This wasn't just about them anymore. Her father's secrets had threads buried deep, and someone clearly didn't want them found. Elliot led her down the back staircase, out into the rain. The cold hit her instantly, but the heat in her chest didn't fade. As they hurried through the alley behind the bookstore, Clara whispered, "There's more to this. More to him. And maybe, more to us." Elliot didn't speak. But when she looked up, his hand was in hers, tight, certain. Behind them, the light in the upper window flicked on. "You kept this?" she whispered. The alley was slick with rain, lit only by the pale glow of a flickering security lamp overhead. Clara's breath came in sharp bursts as she and Elliot moved through the narrow passage behind the bookstore. The envelope felt like a weight inside her coat, heavier with every step. Behind them, a door slammed open. Voices, 2, maybe 3. "Mail. Clothes. They're not far," one muttered. Elliot grabbed her hand and pulled her toward the street. "This way. I parked a few blocks down." "Who are they?" Clara whispered, barely able to keep up. "I don't know," Elliot said, voice tight. "But I think your dad did." The storm worsened, the rain now slicing through the air like needles. Clara's shoes slipped on the pavement, but Elliot caught her, pulling her upright just in time. That touch, steady, familiar, cut through her panic like a thread of warmth. When they reached the car, he yanked open the door, pushing her inside. As he started the engine, Clara locked eyes with him. "You should have told me something was wrong. I didn't want to drag you back into this," he said. "But he's been gone for months, Clara, and I kept finding signs. Clues in the shop. Notes he left hidden in books. Like he knew something was coming." "And you didn't say anything?" "I didn't know what it meant. I thought I was losing it until you showed up, and then the picture fell, and that envelope." A hard bang on the back window silenced them both. A man stood behind the car, drenched, face shadowed beneath a hood. Another figure appeared on the driver's side. Elliot cursed and threw the car into reverse, tires spinning. They shot back into the street, fishtailing before speeding off into the storm. They didn't speak for a while, only the wipers slashing across the windshield breaking the silence. Finally, Clara pulled the envelope from her coat. Her fingers shook as she opened it. Inside was a letter, handwritten, dated 6 months before her father died. "If you're reading this, it means the past has come calling. I never told you the full story. About me. About her. About what we found in the war." Clara's stomach dropped. She turned to Elliot. "Who's her?" Before he could answer, a blinding pair of headlights swerved behind them, too close. The car jolted forward with a hit. "They're following us," Elliot snapped, gripping the wheel. The tires crunched over gravel as Elliot turned onto the forgotten road leading to the lake cabin. Trees loomed overhead like sentinels, and the rain blurred the headlights into streaks. Behind them, the other car had disappeared, or so they hoped. Clara clutched the letter, rereading the final lines, her heart pounding. What we found in the war. Her father had never spoken of his military service. Not to her. Not to Elliot. Not even in his eulogy. The cabin appeared like a shadow, dark and still, tucked between the trees. Elliot killed the engine and kept the lights off. They sat in silence for a moment, rain pattering on the roof, their breath misting the air. "I don't like this," Clara said softly. "What the hell did he get himself into?" Elliot exhaled. "I think he knew something, something buried. Whatever it is, people are willing to kill for it." Inside, the cabin smelled of cedar and thyme. Clara lit an old lantern while Elliot double-checked the windows. In the corner sat a lockbox Clara had almost forgotten existed. Her father used to say it held memories too heavy to carry. The key had always been under the third floorboard. When she opened the box, it wasn't what she expected. Newspaper clippings. Maps. A stack of letters marked confidential. And a photograph of her father, much younger, with a woman who looked hauntingly familiar. Clara froze. "That's my mother." Elliot leaned over her shoulder. "No, that's not her." Clara's blood ran cold. The resemblance was uncanny, but the date on the photo was decades too recent. Beneath it was a birth certificate. Female. Born 1991. Clara Monroe. Her hands shook. "That's my birth year." There was another letter, addressed in her father's hand. To Elliot. He opened it slowly, eyes scanning the page, then widening. "Clara, this says I'm not just your father's friend. He was my father too." She stared at him, horrified. "That's not possible." "I didn't know. I swear. I didn't know." But the room was spinning now, the pieces clicking together in ways she didn't want to accept. Her entire identity, her family, her past, felt like a lie. And Elliot? The only person she'd ever let herself truly need? She stepped back, voice cracking. "He kept us apart, on purpose." The lantern flickered as wind rattled the windows. And then, gunshots in the woods. Close. Elliot dropped to the floor, pulling her with him. "They found us," he whispered. But Clara couldn't breathe. Not from fear, but from the weight of truth crashing down on her. "Elliot," she said, her voice distant. "If this is real, everything changes." He looked at her, eyes wide with something close to heartbreak. "Clara, I don't care what the letter says. I know how I feel. And I'm not letting them take you. We need to lose them." "Where?" The gunshots tore through the trees again, closer now, followed by footsteps crunching over soaked leaves. Clara's breath caught in her throat as she flattened against the floorboards, clutching the envelope and the photo of the woman she had believed was her mother. Elliot crawled beside her, his eyes locked on the door. "We have to move. Now." "But where do we go?" Her voice trembled. "There's no one else. No more truth to uncover. Just this, just us." Elliot's jaw tightened, but his hand found hers, firm and grounding. "Then we fight for what's ours." The next crash was the back door giving way. Wood splintered. Voices shouted. They ran, through the narrow hallway, into the kitchen, Elliot grabbing the keys from the hook where they'd always been. Just before they reached the front, Clara stopped. The old rifle. Her father's. Still hanging above the mantel, as if waiting. She took it down. Elliot stared at her, stunned. "Do you even know how to?" "I watched him clean it 100 times, she said, loading the shells from the drawer beneath the fireplace. "He used to say, only aim when it matters. This matters." A figure appeared outside the front window. Another at the side door. Elliot pulled her close. "We need to separate. I'll draw them to the shed. You take the back trail to the lake and hide. I'm not leaving you." He leaned in, pressing his forehead to hers. "Clara, I need you to live. That's how we win. Tell the story. Bring the truth to light. Promise me." She blinked back tears. "I can't lose you again." "You won't," he said. "But if I don't make it, you'll know why I stayed." Then he kissed her, slow, fierce, and final. The kind of kiss you give when words fail. He slipped out the front, drawing their attention. Clara ran. Out the back, through trees slick with rain, boots pounding mud. The rifle gripped tightly in her arms. At the lake, the trail opened to the dock, and someone was waiting. Clara didn't stop running until her legs gave out near the lake's edge. Rain poured from the sky, washing over her like a baptism. Behind her, the woods were quiet again. The silence was louder than the gunshots. The woman, her aunt, apparently, stood calmly at the edge of the dock, watching. "You made it," she said. Clara turned, soaked to the bone, heart pounding. "Where's Elliot?" Her aunt looked away. "He bought you time." "No," Clara whispered, refusing the words. She clutched the rifle to her chest. "He said he'd come back." "I know," the woman said gently. "He meant it." Minutes passed. Then, footsteps. Clara turned, hope flickering. And there he was. Limping, bleeding, but alive. Elliot staggered toward her and collapsed into her arms. She caught him, letting out a sob of relief. "You came back." "Of course I did," he said, trying to smile. "Told you." One shot. Later, inside the cabin her aunt had prepared, the real safe house, they read the rest of her father's notes. Everything made sense now. The woman in the photo wasn't her mother, but her mother's twin. Clara's aunt had been deep in intelligence operations during the war, involved in uncovering secrets so dangerous, they'd cost people their lives. Her father had kept everything hidden to protect Clara, but also to protect what they'd uncovered, files exposing corrupt corporations laundering funds through art auctions, using the bookstore as a front. That's why he left the map. The letters. The truth. Clara and Elliot turned the information over to a trusted reporter. The story exploded across the media within weeks. The bookstore, once silent and forgotten, became a place of purpose again. A monument to truth and love. Elliot stayed with her. They rebuilt everything, together. The cabin. The store. The parts of themselves they thought had been broken beyond repair. Clara had always believed that silence was safer, that distance protected people. But in the end, she learned something much deeper. That love doesn't just whisper beneath the rain. It endures through it. Viewer engagement. Did you enjoy Whispers Beneath the Rain? What kind of stories would you like to hear next? Romantic thrillers, mysteries, or emotional dramas? Let us know in the comments below. A woman. Older. Hair dark like Clara's, eyes sharp. Familiar. You look just like her, the woman said, stepping forward. I knew your father. Clara froze. Who are you? The woman held out her hands. I'm your aunt. Your real one. He kept us apart to protect you. Behind them, a loud bang echoed through the forest, then silence. Clara turned, heart racing. Elliot. But the woman grabbed her arm. If you go back now, we all die. There's more at stake than love. Your father knew. That's why he left everything to you. Tears streamed down Clara's face as she turned toward the trees. And still, she ran. Clara's eyes widened. The cabin. The one by the lake? She nodded. It's the only place they don't know. The second hit came harder. Clara screamed as Elliot swerved onto an unlit road. You still remember the way? He asked through gritted teeth. Every turn, she said. But we only get one shot. Behind them, the headlights kept coming. Elliot knelt beside her. I never stopped keeping things. Clara looked at him then, really looked, and the silence between them felt like the edge of a cliff. A breath away from falling. I didn't just leave because of grief, she said quietly. I was scared. Of how much I felt. Of what we were becoming. You think I wasn't? Elliot reached for her hand, gently wrapping a handkerchief around the cut. I lost you, Clara. And then I lost him. She didn't pull away. For the first time in years, she didn't want to. But then, another sound. This time louder. A low creak from above, followed by the unmistakable scuff of a footstep. Elliot stood quickly. No one else has a key. Clara's pulse quickened. Then who's upstairs? Clara had once thought she could outrun memories. She left after her mother's funeral, after Elliot said nothing to stop her. But now her father's sudden passing had forced her return, and the will? It bound her to Elliot in ways she hadn't anticipated. 2 weeks. The house, the bookstore, the rain. And him. Neither had remarried. Neither had really moved on. And both of them were about to discover that grief, like love, never disappears, it just waits. Elliot opened the door, the little bell chiming like a sigh. "You came back," he said softly. She tried to smile, but her voice cracked. "I didn't have a choice." He stepped closer, rain dripping from the edge of his hood. "There's always a choice, Clara." And then, from deep within the store, something fell. A whisper, a creak, no one else was supposed to be there.